Welcome back, all my aspiring mathematicians. Today I am going to discuss with you system of linear equations. A system of linear equations is a set of two or more linear equations in the same variable. The solution to a set of linear equations is usually in the form of an ordered pair, meaning that you will have an x value and a y value. If you take that solution and plug that into any of the two equations, it will make each of the equations true. There are three methods that you can use to solve system of linear equations. You can solve system of linear equations graphically, or you can solve system of linear equations by the elimination method or by the substitution method. I'm going to demonstrate to you how you can solve system of linear equations by substitution. Now, what does substitution mean? Substitution means that you can exchange, or you can replace, or you can change something. For instance, if I need to bake a cake for a diabetic individual, I cannot use regular sugar. I have to use a sugar substitute, meaning that I have to exchange or replace my sugar with another substitute, and you can use Truvia. We can apply this analogy when we are solving system of linear equations using the substitution method. Normally, you are given two equations. When you're using the substitution method, you are going to take one of the equations that is given to you and substitute it into the other equation. One thing I must say to you, that equation that you're going to use to substitute doesn't necessarily have to be y equals mx plus b. It could also be x equals. Let's get right into the lesson using our first example. So I have 2x minus 3y equal -1, and the other equation is y equal x minus 1. So those are the two equations that you have. You will notice that one of the equations here is in the form of y equals mx plus b, and so in the other equation you are going to substitute where you see that y, what the value for y is. So let's get into it. So I have my 2x minus 3y here equals -1, and I'm going to use this equation because I am going to use this equation y equals x minus 1 to substitute into my first equation. So I'm going to rewrite first equation, but wherever I see y, I'm going to replace it what y is in the second equation, and y is x minus 1 in this case, and this is equals to -1. Now I'm going to continue. I'm going to use my distributive property here. So this will be -3x, and -3 times -1 will be a +3. This is going to be equals to -1. Now I must combine my like terms. We now have -x plus 3 equal -1. Wow. What do I do now? So I have my 3 on this side. I need to get rid of it because I need to solve for x. So I'm going to have -x is equals to, if I bring my 3 over to the other side, it's now going to be a negative because in front of it is a positive symbol. So now this is going to be -1 minus 3, which is going to be -4. Now because I have negative here, to be like an invisible 1 that is in front of it, so I must divide by my -1. And whatever I do on one side, I must do it on the other side. So this will give me x is going to be equals to 4. So this is x equals to 4. So we're now finished. We are now going to use the original equation that's given to us, and I can simply use this one, rewrite it, y is equals to x minus 1. I am going to substitute my value for x wherever I see x, and this will be now 4. And I am going to solve accordingly. So y is equals to 4 minus 1 is 3, so y is equals to 3. Now I'll write my solution as solution. You can write out the word solution, or you can just write sol. Solution is going to be 4, 3. And this is your solution. And I always tell my students, draw a cloud around that. So that's your solution there. I always suggest for you to check your work. So let's show you how you will check your work. You are going to use the first equation here, which is 2x minus 3y equal -1. I'm going to substitute my x and my y here. So I have 2 parentheses, and I'm going to replace that with 4 for my x value, and my y value I'm going to replace with 3. And this will be equal -1. So I'm going to do the math. This is 8. 4 times 2 is 8. Negative 3 times 3 is going to be negative 9 equals negative 1. You must continue. Even though we know that 8 minus 9 is equals to negative 1, you must continue. You must have one number equal to another number. So this would be negative 1 equals to negative 1, and yes, that is true. So you're going to continue because you just did it for the first equation. You're going to now test it for the second equation. So for the second equation, you are simply going to rewrite the equation and you're going to substitute. So you will now find that you will have the value of y is 3 equal 4 minus 1. 3 here equals 4 minus 1 is 3, and yes, that is true. So now you know that yes, your answer is correct, and not only that, your solution here is true for both equations. So this is your ordered pair. Now, as you know, I don't like to stop right there. I like to give variation. Variety is a spice of life for me. So I like to throw in another variation. So the example I'm going to use here is negative 7x minus 2y equals negative 13, and the other one is x minus 2y equals 11. You have to do some additional work. Work. I know, we have to do the additional work, so we have to change it first. So I will choose this second equation here because this is the easiest one to change because there's no variable in front of the x. So I will choose this one here to do the math when I'm doing it. In order to do that, I'm going to choose the second equation. So I notice here I have x here and I have negative 2y. This can now be x is equal to positive 2y plus 11. So I have that now where x is equal to positive 2y plus 11. Remember, it doesn't necessarily have to be y equal. It could be an x equal. Once you know how to change an equation from standard form to slope-intercept form, you will know how to change it to get an x equal, or simply know how to change it to get a y equal. All right, so let's get into it. So let's continue. So now I have my negative 7x, and I will rewrite this. So wherever I see x, I am going to replace it with my value for x, or I'm going to substitute it. All right, so I'm going to have 2y plus 11, close your parentheses there. And you also have your negative 2y equal negative 13. Now you must use the distributive property. So you will get negative 14y, and negative 7 times 11 is negative 77. You must bring down the negative 2y minus 13. Combine your like terms. All right, look for your like terms. You have, these are your like terms right here. So you're going to combine them. You will end up with negative 16y minus 77 equal negative 13. You have negative 77 attached to the negative 16y, and you have to get rid of it by doing the inverse. So because it is subtracting, the inverse of subtract is addition, so you're going to add it on this side. So you would end up with negative 16y equals to negative 13 plus 77 is going to give you a positive 64. In order to solve for y, you are going to divide by negative 16 on both sides because negative 16 is being multiplied onto the y, and you have to do the inverse, which is divide. So now you will have y is equals to negative 4. All right, so that is what you have for that. You're not finished. So we're going to take the second equation, which is x minus 2y equal 11. And wherever I see y, I'm going to substitute that with negative 4. So I will now have negative, so this is negative 2, and my y here is simply going to be replaced with negative 4 equal 11. All right, so now what we have to do, we have to simplify this. Multiply negative 2 times negative 4, which is going to be a positive 8. So x plus 8 is going to equal to 11. Now we need to get x by itself, so we need to get rid of the plus 8 here, which will become negative 8. And so we will have x is equals to 11 minus 8, which is 3. So we have our x value and we have our y value. So our solution now is going to be written in an ordered pair, which is 3, negative 4. And I always tell my students, please go ahead and draw a cloud or box your answer. Show them that you want to be graded on this final answer. Because in most circumstances, even though you may make a mistake in between, and if your solution is correct, you will get a point at least or partial credit for writing correct answer. Once again, check your work. So we're going to check this one. Always check to make sure that you are in the right track. So we can take the negative 7x minus 2y equals negative 13. And I always suggest to you rewrite the original equation first. So now you're going to substitute your value for y and your value for x, and to test to see if your solution is indeed correct. So solution here, your x is 3. So you're going to replace that with 3, and your y is negative 4. So negative 7 times 3 is going to be negative 21, positive 8, equal negative 13. Negative 21 plus 8 is indeed negative 13. Negative 13 is equals to negative 13. Yes, that is true. I always tell my students, do not stop at this first. I always tell my students, do not stop at the second to last line. In order to show that this is indeed, in order to show that your ordered pair is going to make this equation true, one number on the right must equal to the number on the left. It must be one number on either side of the equal sign, okay? Not two numbers like in this case here, the second to last line. Now you also are going to check the x minus 2y equal 11, and by doing so, you're going to substitute your value that you got, which is your solution, in the equation. So you have your 3 and you have your negative 4. So 3 and then negative 2 times negative 4 is going to be a positive 8 equals 11. Yes, 11 is equals to 11, and that is indeed correct. I hope that this video has helped you tremendously, and now you know how to solve system of linear equations using the substitution method. Substitution means that you're going to replace that value for that variable into the other equation. If you have an x equal in one of the equations, you're going to take that and substitute it into the other equation where you see the x variable. If it is a y equal, you're simply going to replace that y equal value into the other equation where you see that y variable. So thank you for watching. Please go ahead and share my videos with others around the world so they too can be advanced in math. And if you know someone that has a phobia for math, go ahead and share my videos with that individual. I want them to overcome their phobia for math. On this channel, they will learn the simplest method to help them to overcome their phobia for math. Thank you now, and see you soon. Bye now. Cheers.